And for today's MC, he is a member of Chiang Mai Toastmasters Club and the current Division Director for Division C. Let's welcome distinguished Toastmaster Brian Arthur Tagliador. That was me also introducing myself. Good morning. Let's welcome our member countries in District 9070 at the traditional flag parade. Diversity and the importance of effective communication. District 97 is made up of 5 countries representing Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, and Vietnam. District 97 Virtual Annual Conference 2023. Member growth and leadership excellence. Wow. Fellow Toastmasters, friends, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to District 97 Virtual Annual Conference 2023, Achieving Member Growth and Leadership Excellence. This is another exciting day for us Toastmasters and our guests as we gather in our district's annual biggest event. For 2 days, we'll be entertained, inspired, and empowered by great speeches from our esteemed speakers, from our speech contestants, and from everyone here who has helped in making this event possible. This event is broadcasted live on Facebook. If you don't wish to be seen, feel free to turn off your video. And for the best watching experience, we recommend you to watch on Speaker View. For those of you who are new to Toastmasters, we are an international organization comprising of more than 280,000 members in more than 14,700 clubs in 144 countries. And in Toastmasters, we live by our mission statement. We empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders with our Toastmasters international core values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence. To introduce our dignitaries for this event, let's welcome our event's organizing chair. She is an organizational development and human resources consultant and emotional intelligence practitioner and coach. Please welcome immediate past district director, distinguished Toastmaster Nuchanok.
Thank you, Mr. MC, distinguished Toastmaster Brian Tagliador. As the organizing chair of this year's District 97 Annual Conference, I am delighted to welcome you all to this exciting event. Toastmaster International has always been a beacon of inspiration, guiding us towards better communication, leadership excellence, and personal growth of our members. And it is an honor to host this event where we celebrate our shared commitment to this value. Before we proceed, I would like to take a moment to recognize some special guests in our midst. I ask you to hold your applause until all have been introduced. It's my pleasure to acknowledge our Toastmaster International President-elect, Distinguished Toastmaster Murat Matheson, who has joined us today. Our sincere gratitude goes to past International President, Distinguished Toastmaster Datuk John Lau. We are also honored to have you here with us, and especially all the dignitaries. We have current district, division, area directors, as well as past district, division, and area director, and district honorary advisor, Distinguished Toastmaster Paisan Selo. We are also fortunate to have past international director, past region advisor, Distinguished Toastmaster Ho Kim Suong with us. And I would also like to acknowledge the presence of the second placed honors 2022 World Championship of Public Speaking, Distinguished Toastmaster Alexandre March, and also Distinguished Toastmaster Sandra Savage. Thank you all for coming. And of course, we couldn't forget the club officer and members who make up the backbone of our organization. This convention is a testament of the power of unity, diversity, and the magic that happen when we come together to learn and grow. Over the next 2 days, this weekend, we will have opportunity to participate in the workshop, hear from distinguished speaker, and celebrate the achievement of our member. As we embark on this journey together, let's remember the Toastmaster promise to provide supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and self-growth. Once again, welcome to Toastmaster Annual Conference. Let's make this event an enriching experience for us all. Mr. MC?
Thank you, Organizing Chair, Distinguished Toastmaster Nuch. And a warm welcome to our esteemed guests. Let's give them all a round of applause. And of course, every member of District 97 who woke up very early, who showed up to be here today. Another round of applause for all of them. And to you out there watching us on Facebook, hi. Ladies and gentlemen, we are excited to introduce you our invocation speaker. A master in making learning simple and easy to follow, he teaches with stories, examples, and humor. This makes key learning points easy to remember and learning fun. Please welcome our invocation speaker, past International Director, past Region Advisor, Distinguished Toastmaster, Ho Kim Suong.
Thank you. Sawadee krap, Cheng Chow. Good morning, 早上好, selamat pagi. This morning is a very, very special day. 520, 20th of May. In Chinese, is Wu Erling, is I love you. This morning, I'm going to bring you a special elect Margaret, our district director, Apisara, our honorary advisor, Paisan Seloy, fellow Toastmaster leaders. This morning, I want you to remember this word, H-O-P-E, hope. We hope everything is possible, and the hope comes with different form. And the hope over here stand for hidden opportunity for personal excellence. And this conference, we are gathered here to learn and grow as members. You to do three things. The first thing is, I want you to be always to be your best. If you are being assigned to be a timer, be the best timer where your club ever produced. If you are assigned to be a club president, be the best club president where your club ever produced. And if you are a district leaders, be the best district leaders where your district, where Toastmaster International is. So start from the mindset of being your best. The second thing I would like you to challenge you to do is always go for greatness. Always go for the little bit extra. If you watch 100-meter dash, the champion and the first runner-up is different by milliseconds. And always push yourself a bit more. And always be the best and go for the extra effort. And the third thing, after having the mindset, the most important thing as individual member, if you really want to enjoy the growth in Toastmaster, you really need to do it now. Put everything in action and make it happen. It's only with hope, with positive belief and action, District 97P, collective as a whole, we will grow stronger, we will grow bigger, and we will be a movement where everybody admire part of it. And I strongly believe that District 97P, with the leadership of Apisara, with the leadership of all the past leader and present leader and future leader, we can shape this wonderful movement together. And this conference, achieving member excellence, member growth, and leadership excellence, a collective effort of the conference team and the member and district leader. Let's spend this 2 days, grow together, learn together, and share the benefit of Toastmaster and make this movement a best place for you and for me. With that, I hand the control back to our MC, Brian. Over to you, Brian.
Thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster Po Kim Shong, all the way from Singapore. I'm not sure if it's just a coincidence, but my former boss in Singapore also instilled in me to put that extra in everything that we do and to be the best of ourselves every time. Can we remember hope? Hidden opportunity for personal excellence. Thank you once again, distinguished Toastmaster Po Kim Shong. To formally open the event is no less than our district director. She leads the English language teaching program at Panyapiwat Institute of Management. Please join me in welcoming distinguished Toastmaster Apisara.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Brian. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and fellow Toastmasters. We gather here under the theme of achieving member growth and membership excellence, embracing a collective vision of progress and excellence in our Toastmaster journey. This conference serves as a power platform for networking, collaboration, and the exchange of ideas. Let us seize this opportunity to unlock our true potential, inspire, educate, and empower each and every one of us that will ignite positive change and inspire others to join our community. Thank you all for being here, and let us embark on this extraordinary adventure together. Back to you, our MC.
Thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster Apisara. We would like to recognize our clubs in Area 1 and Area 2 of Division A in this district. The First Thai Toastmasters Club, Bangkok Advanced Toastmasters Club, Thailand Online Toastmasters Club, Debaters Toastmasters Club, Thai Lemthong Toastmasters Club, Nakhon Ratchasima Rajabat University Toastmasters Club, Holy Redeemers Toastmasters Club, and Phoenix International Toastmasters Club. Thank you for joining our conference today. The next person we will meet will introduce our keynote speaker. He joined Toastmasters in 2008 when he was a sophomore while climbing the corporate leadership ladder. Distinguished Toastmaster Pipat currently serves as past district director and is currently the district public relations manager. Please welcome Distinguished Toastmaster Pipat to introduce our keynote speaker.
Thank you, Mr. MC Toastmaster Brian. District Director Apisara Situlanon. Program Quality Director Lin Ari Chaturanon. Club Growth Director Kelvin Bo Tian Trin. It is our great honor to have the International President-elect of Toastmasters International with us. International President-elect Morak Mattison, Distinguished Toastmaster of Morendorf, Germany, is a self-employed professional development consultant and chair of the board of the child sponsorship charity, Living Water, Germany. Previously, she was the general manager and superintendent pharmacist of Belfast Cooperative Chemist, where she had full professional and business responsibility for a group of pharmacies in Northern Ireland. Her responsibilities included all aspects of strategy, service development, and delivery. At Alliance Pharmacy, she created new business concepts, including continuing professional development for pharmacy professionals. Mattison holds a master's degree in business administration from the Open University in Milton Keynes, England. She served on pharmacy services boards of government departments in both Scotland and in Northern Ireland. She also served on the board of USA Girl Scouts overseas in Southern Germany, where she was responsible for finance. A Toastmaster since 2006, Mattison is a member of her home club, Erlangen Toastmasters in Erlangen, Bavaria. She has held a number of high-profile leadership positions within Toastmasters and has attained the Distinguished Toastmasters designation, the highest level of educational achievement in the organization. She says, growth in confidence is the biggest single benefit to be gained from Toastmasters. By establishing and extending their competence in all forms of communication and leadership, members are able to make a positive impact throughout all aspects of their life. As an officer of the Toastmasters International Board of Directors, Mattison is a working ambassador for the organization. She works with the board to develop, support, and modify the policies and procedures that guide Toastmasters International in fulfilling its mission. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our International President-elect is giving a keynote speech under the title Catalyst, Champions, and Cheerleaders. Please put your hands together to welcome our International President-elect, Morak Mattison.
Thank you very much, MC, and to past District Director Pipat. Good morning, Toastmasters of District 97 and most distinguished guests. It's great to be with you for your conference today, even if I am far away and joining you from here in Germany. I have a question for you. Are you ready for a workout. Maybe you think I'm talking about a visit to the gym or running in the park. Those would be great things to do if you wanted to train your physical muscles. But what if you wanted to train your character muscles? Going to the gym alone would not cut it. A more effective way to train your character is by taking on challenges. So, how does an adventure sound? An adventure that will take you through a forest full of challenges, where I might ask you to jump through waterfalls or come nose to nose with a grizzly bear. The adventure will open many doors for you and present you with a myriad of opportunities. It may change the way you perceive yourself and lead you to take control of your life. I can give you only one guarantee. You will come out alive, but you may never be the same person again. My friends, that is the challenge of Toastmasters. When we sign up as members, the adventure begins. We begin training our character muscle to become strong. Some time ago, I was visiting a division conference in Johannesburg, South Africa, when I met a lady called Joan. Joan was sitting on her own with a cup of tea, waiting for the conference to begin. As I looked round the room, I immediately saw that she was completely by herself. So I went over and spoke to her, asked, "Where do you come from? Which club do you belong to?" And she said, "You've probably never heard of my club. It only chartered 3 days ago." "Oh, that's fabulous," I said. "Congratulations. Have you given your icebreaker yet?" She stopped. She looked horrified. And she said, Oh, no. I can't speak in front of people. I won't speak in front of people. I was extremely puzzled. I was extremely puzzled why she would have joined. And she explained she loved the idea of Toastmasters. In the company where she worked, she could see the benefit. And someone had said to her, "We need one more member to be able to create this club. Would you join so that we can have the club?" And seeing the benefit, she of course said yes, but without any intention of drawing the benefits of the program for herself. The conference began, and I racked my brains to think, how could I help Joan to get some value from the program? I'm Scottish. We like to get value from everything. At the end, I went back to Joan and I asked how she'd enjoyed the conference. And I said to her, if you're the only person here from your club, what about when you go back, writing a report and sending it to your president so that that could be shared with the other members to let them know what they missed out on today, and maybe next time they'll come too. She said, "I like that idea. I can do that. I can write a report." Her club president was a very smart woman. When Joan sent her written report to the president thanked her graciously and said, "At our meeting on Friday, could you read out this report, please?" Joan read the report and then realised what she'd just done. She had, in fact, spoken in front of the group and delivered her first speech, even though it wasn't properly her icebreaker. At the end of that meeting, she immediately signed up for her icebreaker and sent me an email to tell me how she'd done and that the icebreaker was scheduled. After the icebreaker, she wrote to me and she said, "It wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be. My knees didn't shake too much and my evaluator was really kind. I've signed up for my next speeches." 3 weeks was all it took from "I can't, I won't" till icebreaker done, next steps planned. Joan just needed a catalyst to get started. In this story, I was her catalyst. Her club president was her champion, and both of us became her cheerleaders. For many months, I looked forward to Fridays after her club meeting. She would always write and tell me what role she'd taken, if she'd delivered a speech, how it had gone, what she'd learned. Her enthusiasm was incredible. Her sense of worth, her self-confidence in her job grew. Catalysts are those people who give us a spark to help us get us started, who inspire us to step out. Champions are those who encourage us, who enable us on stages of the journey, and who support us. Our cheerleaders are those who encourage us, celebrate with us at each small step of progress or achievement. Having catalyst champions and cheerleaders around us help us to be brave and to take those next steps on the adventure. Joan has been incredibly brave with each step that she has taken in Toastmasters and beyond. Sometimes, however, challenges take us beyond our own personal development. Joachim lives in southwest Germany. He'd always had a desire to be a comfortable, competent speaker. So he sought out bookshops everywhere. He would search through their shelves for every book he could find on public speaking, how to capture the stage. He went to seminars the length and breadth of his country and beyond. He spent thousands just in his quest to learn how to do this. At one of those seminars, he spoke with the speaker at the end and asked the question that he asked of every speaker he could ever speak to. What advice would you have for me? Because this is what I want to do. The speaker thought for a moment and said to him, I recommend you join Toastmasters. Turned his back and left. Toastmasters. Joachim searched online. Joachim is German speaking with some English. He gleaned whatever he could find from the Toastmasters website. He saw that it was some kind of program where people gave speeches of 5 to 7 minutes. There were evaluations. They met in groups of at least 20. In the next weeks and months, Joachim became an evangelist for Toastmasters. He was a hotel manager, and every Monday evening, he would give over one of his meeting rooms in his hotel for Toastmasters to meet there. Eventually, after some time, he sent in an inquiry to World Headquarters, who passed that on to the district. 2 Toastmasters from district reached out to Joachim, and they helped him get access to the full education programme in the German language. And they shared their know-how on working the programme and running a great club. After only 3 months, this self-styled Toastmasters evangelist had gathered 54 members and was beginning a second club in the town, meeting also in his hotel. Each of us in Toastmasters has our own story. My story is different to those of Joan and Joachim, but there are certain similarities. I was an MBA student when one day the tutor announced that there would be a special class on how to deliver presentations. If you've ever studied for a Master's in Business Admin, you'll know that MBA students constantly deliver presentations. So this seemed like a great idea for all of us. He told us that it would be taught by some people from an organisation called Toastmasters. That was the first time I had heard the name, and I had no idea at the time how significant it would be. I enjoyed their presentation, thought it was extremely valuable and helpful. They handed out a flyer. I read it from cover to cover. Sadly, there were no clubs near where I worked or lived, so I filed that flyer. In fact, I still have that flyer. It was a few years later when I moved to Germany that I heard that name again. A colleague of my husband spoke to me and he invited me to come with this comment. He said, "We have this new group in town. It's made up of really nice people. You'd like them, I think. And they speak English. And best of all, Morag, if you come on Wednesday, you'll hear me deliver a speech." His invitation was interesting. He didn't talk about overcoming anxiety of speaking in front of groups or working an education program, because those were not my needs. I had just moved from being head of professional development at a large healthcare company. Instead, he focused on my needs at that moment. I was new in town. I needed to meet people. I needed to grow my network. When I showed up to that meeting, I found a very professionally run meeting where there was lots of laughter, lots of enjoyment, and lots of learning happening. I saw huge potential and wanted to join. It was March 15. My joining date was actually August 1st. But that's a story for another day. That's the story of how I almost never joined Toastmasters. The following year, after a club meeting, I noticed my club president and my vice president education making a beeline for me. You know you're in trouble when they come together. Morag, we were wondering, would you be willing to be an officer in the club next year? Sure, I think I could do that. What did you have in mind? In my head, I'm thinking secretary, sergeant at arms, a small role. They said, vice president education, but don't worry, we have a spreadsheet and we'll help you. They did have a spreadsheet. It was horrible. I created my own, but they did help me too. That was the start of my leadership journey in Toastmasters. I would have the chance to have an impact on my club in a different way. I could see the role as scheduling speeches, or I could enjoy the opportunity I had to help people learn and grow, to be the catalyst for them to try something new and to step out beyond the comfortable. A few months later, it was time for the table topics contests. My president said, Morag, you need to compete. Do I? Oh, yeah. We have a tradition in my home club for table topics contest. We have exactly the functionaries we need, and everyone else is a contestant. We use it as a fun practice event. To my amazement, I won that club contest. And then was asked, would I go to area to represent the club? And I asked the question, honestly, what's our area? Because I didn't go beyond my club. I just did things in my club at that point. They explained I went to area, I won, I went to division and won. And that took me to one of the most transformative experiences I could ever have, going to my district conference for the very first time. There, I got to see the whole wider world of Toastmasters. I got to see how we do business. I got to meet people from all over the district, people who had very different backgrounds to me, different ideas. I could glean so much for my club too. I made friends, people who are still friends today. I lost the contest. After Vice President Education, I became the president of my club, and that year we hosted both our area and division conferences. And then I received an interesting call from my division director. Morag, the team that was due to host the district conference in a few months have pulled out. Your team did such a great job. Would you be willing to host the district conference? I know the time's short, but I really think your team can do it. I had been a Toastmaster for just over 2 years. Would you have trusted me? The team said yes. We took the opportunity. I had decided to simply take the opportunity that Toastmasters was giving me to grow in self-confidence as well as in competence and run with it. I didn't seek out opportunities, but when they came, I said yes before I could say no. When people come to you seeking your help, I encourage you to think about what it might mean to say yes before you immediately turn to no. Being district conference chair meant that I worked with the programme quality director. And afterwards, she called me and said, Morag, I loved working with you in the conference. I thought we worked really well together. Next year, when I'm district director, would you be my administration manager? This was a marvellous opportunity for me because it really expanded my horizons. It gave me a bigger view of the work of the district, a tapping into the wider Toastmasters network. And all the time, I was growing my circle of influence and my circle of contacts. I enjoyed the work and I was feeling really comfortable and actually planning for a second term as administration manager. But our district leadership committee had other ideas. Morag, we need you to run for division director. I can do that. And so I did. And the same sequence followed the next year. I thought I'd have another year as division director, but the DLC wanted me for programme quality director. And I thought, yeah, I can do that. When they asked me to accept the nomination, however, what they didn't tell me was they were also nominating 2 other candidates. This was new territory for me. And if they had told me that there would be competition when they first asked, I would have headed for the hills. I really would have said no. I was breaking new ground. For the very first time, I had to campaign for an office. I had no idea what that would mean, and that later in my Toastmasters journey, I would actually need those skills when I ran for the board of directors. After programme quality director came district director, and there I was, the leader of a district of over 230 clubs spread across 18 countries. I had become the European CEO of a very large not-for-profit, not with ambition, but because I built on what I was learning. People saw my ability to lead and my heart to serve, and I was willing to step out beyond that comfortable place and take a risk that I might not be able to succeed. How could I do that? I could do that because there are always people there to catch you and support you. And if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you always got. We need to try something new and take a risk. As district director, I remember the first meeting with my team and with the area and division directors. That was the point when we were presenting our goals and our strategies for the year. My district had been reasonably successful up to that point. We'd been in the top 6 districts in the world many times at that point, but never made it to the top. And every year, the district director would stand at that first meeting and say, we're going to be number 1 in the world. And everyone would cheer, and we would do our very best to get there. And the best we'd ever had until that point was number 3. So I did what my predecessors had done. I stood on that stage and I said, our plan is to be number 1 in the world this year. And several people did cheer in the audience, but I saw one person who just rolled their eyes like, oh, I've heard this so many times before. Something inside me snapped. And I said, you don't believe this? I believe this. I believe we can be number 1 because I believe this is the best district in the world. The rest of the world just doesn't know it yet. And it's our job to show them. There was thunderous applause and cheering. And in that moment, I realized something had changed. No longer was I focused on processes, explanations, data. I was speaking from a place of passion, sharing my deepest beliefs. I was becoming vulnerable, moving from chart to heart. I knew if we were to succeed this journey, I needed to pursue in a different way. If we were to be successful, then people needed to be persuaded and motivated, not browbeaten with facts and figures. I had to become a leader of people, even more than a leader of the task. How did that story end? Well, we were successful. I still remember that Friday morning in July, receiving the call from our now past international president, John Lau, who asked me this question: how does it feel to be number one in the whole wide world? My answer was a single word: amazing. After that, I served as region advisor to districts in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, and was encouraged to become a candidate for international director. I remember standing on the stage in Vancouver, barely able to recognize how far I had come. From a very shy, hidden leader in many ways, I was able to declare, I am a leader who can, who does, and who will. I knew it wasn't empty words. It was a comfortable declaration of who I had become. And now, if all goes according to plan, in just 3 months, I will be your international president, the first woman from outside North America to hold the office. When I look over my journey in Toastmasters, I see those same 3 significant groups of people who shaped the journeys of Joan and Joachim, who have helped to shape my journey. Those catalysts, people who provided the spark for something new to happen or for me to take a risk. The friend who asked me to come to Toastmasters, my club president who suggested I compete, the division director who invited me to chair the district conference because she'd seen me lead before, and she knew I could do it before I knew I could do it. The past international president who said, have you thought about running from the board? Then the champions, those people who see your potential and help make a path for you. The champions who gave me opportunities to try out new things. The district director who invited me to join her team because she'd enjoyed working with me. She championed me as a leader, showing me the bigger picture of Toastmasters. And almost before I knew it, I was the district director of one of the largest districts in the world. People saw my ability to lead and my heart to serve, and that I was willing to step out and take a risk that I might not be able to succeed. And then those cheerleaders, people who have been there encouraging every step of the way, the ones who always send a message when they see you doing something new or brave. Could be an evaluation in your club, kind words after an event, a WhatsApp message about an impact that you have made on them. I can be a brave adventurer because I have had people who were those catalyst champions and cheerleaders for me. As I've gone through different roles, whether in my club, at district or internationally, I see that there are many different things to learn and different ways in which we can grow as leaders. However, no matter what we do, it all starts in the club. I sometimes hear people say to guests, if you join, you get to give speeches and follow paths. And I think, oh no, that's just part of the story. It's so much more. There is the incidental learning that happens alongside. There's joining in meetings, being part of the whole story of your club's life. Today, there's the possibility to connect with people all over the world. And as we have seen in the most difficult times in this district and in others, There is the caring community where people help each other, whatever the circumstances are that they are facing. Having people around us to support us and catch us when we fall helps each one of us become the best version of ourselves. Who are those people to you? Who were catalyst champions and cheerleaders for you? Could you be that to someone else? The adventure of Toastmasters is waiting for each one of us. Maybe you want to stretch your speaking skills. Why not become a contestant or volunteer to lead a workshop at an event? Maybe you want to take a leap forward in leadership. District officer roles are always an opportunity for that, whether it's as an area director or on one of the core team roles. Or maybe for you, that leap forward is a club officer role or a club officer role with more responsibility. Maybe you'd like to break new ground, try things in new places like Joachim did. Or maybe you'd like to start a new club. Your district has seen new clubs start this year, and there have been brave adventurers out there sponsoring and mentoring those clubs to help them be successful. Maybe you'd like to find your voice and stretch your comfort zone like Joan. Why not think about the educational goals you're setting for yourself and work the path towards them? Maybe a Distinguished Toastmaster Award like Joshua or Eric did in your district this year. Each small challenge we take on builds up and helps us to grow strong and stretch the boundaries of our world. Who were your catalyst champions and cheerleaders? Remember what their contribution has meant on your own personal development adventure. Look for people in your club and around you for whom you can fill these roles, for opportunities to help your club and to help your district build back stronger after all that we have been through. Who needs a spark to get them going or to reignite? Who needs encouragement, support, assistance to achieve a goal or to reboot their personal growth through Toastmasters? Who needs you to celebrate even the tiniest bit of success with them? Who can you walk with on the journey through the forest of challenges, on the adventure of Toastmasters? If you have a name in mind, promise yourself you'll reach out. If you don't have a name yet, then search for one at your next club meeting. Brené Brown said, you can choose courage or you can choose comfort, but you cannot choose both. So, my friends, are you ready to gather your courage in both hands? Go for that workout to reignite, to reboot and recharge the members in your club and yourself. Find the catalysts, the champions and the cheerleaders who are around you, and be the catalyst, the champion or the cheerleader to someone else today. And discover how your passion to grow and your support for each other changes everything. I wish you every success. Mr. MC.
Thank you very much, Distinguished Toastmaster Morag, for that very inspiring story of your leadership journey, of how you've become where you are right now in Toastmasters. We can be catalysts, champions, and cheerleaders to our members as well. And I'm sure it will make a big difference in our lives and in our districts. So I got there that we should take challenges, take risks, and it was just a very inspiring hearing you, Distinguished Toastmaster Morag. Thank you very much for gracing our event and for that very wonderful message. Can we give her another round of applause, please? And indeed, it starts in the club level. We would like to recognize our clubs in Area 3 and Area 4 in Division A who are here today. We have Capital Toastmasters Club, Lion Toastmasters Club, Phuket Toastmasters Club, Yangon Toastmasters Club, Pro Speakers Toastmasters Club, LAC Toastmasters Club, and Empower Toastmasters Club. Thank you for coming to our event. Now, as we embark on this exciting journey of learning, inspiration, and camaraderie, I will be joined by someone who's ready to navigate this event with expertise and flair. She's a Nigerian research consultant with an Environment Institute. Toastmaster Doris Ogiri is not just a proficient speaker, but a passionate Toastmaster. So without further ado, please help me welcome my co-MC for today, Toastmaster Doris.
Thank you, Toastmaster, distinguished Toastmaster Brian.
How are you today?
I'm good and enjoying it so far.
Right? So Toastmaster Doris, how many district conference have you attended so far?
This is my fourth conference. I joined Toastmasters in 2020 and I've never missed one for any reason.
Wow.
Then.
Good. And all from District 97?
Sure, yes.
Great. Anyway, I'll be taking a break and I'm gonna leave you with them, Toastmaster Doris. Take it away.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Brian, for the job so far. You started so well and we are ready to go with the flow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the educational portion of our program today, which promises to be both entertaining and engaging. Today, we are excited to share with you the threefold gift that Toastmasters International offers to all its members. These gifts have the power to transform lives, careers, and communities. And they are the heart of what makes our organization, Toastmasters International, special. The first gift of Toastmasters is the factors contributing to the success of the Toastmasters Club. And to help us to understand this better is our first speaker. Our first speaker is distinguished Toastmaster Datuk John Lau. He served as international president 2012 to 2013, Toastmasters International. Distinguished Toastmaster Datuk John Lau is the first Malaysian elected in this position. He believes in Toastmasters program that grooms and shapes one's communication and leadership skills. He will be presenting the first Toastmasters gift on the topic, critical success factors of a Toastmasters Club, which promises to be insightful. So let's have some takeaway as we listen to his inspiring speech on the topic, critical success factors of a Toastmasters Club. Distinguished Toastmaster Datuk John Lau, the virtual stage is yours. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Toastmaster Doris, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good, so I can continue. International President-elect Murak, it's so good to see you online today. You were the #1 district governor in 2012-2013. Now, a few years later, you will be installed as our international president. Can fellow Toastmaster join me to give distinguished Toastmaster Murak a round of applause, please? Good. Today, I'm talking about critical success factor of top quality club. When you talk about Thailand, I'd like to share with you, my heart is with Thailand because I spent many years doing business in Thailand. And I'm sure my big brother, Pasal, and I, we have been good friends for many years in Thailand. So what are the critical success factors of a top quality club? Let me share this with you. You heard about the heart and the soul of a person? Now, if we do not have a heart, definitely we don't have a soul. So the key important thing is the heart and soul. With heart and soul, we can survive, we can smile. So what is heart and soul? What is the critical success factor? As President-elect Murad mentioned, love. Everything starts from love. Now, what is heart and soul? It is the focus and where should we put our energy. That is the key point of my today's presentation. Where should be the focus of a club? Where should we put the energy so that our club will continuously become President Distinguished Club? 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. So my key area will be focusing on focus of a top quality club and what are the official critical success factors. I want to ask everybody. I know my brother Paisal, he planted a lot. Just plant a fruit tree without sunshine and water and fertilizer and fertile soil, there will be no fruits. The fruits will die, will wither. So what are the critical success factors? A fruit tree we plant will bear a lot of fruits. In the same way, what are the critical success factors of a successful club? There are a few areas. If you go back to the Distinguished Club program, you know how many members we need to recruit. We need to recruit 4 members plus 4 members, so total 8 members. We need to do education. We need to do the pathways. Club officers need to attend the training. And club officers make sure that you submit your club officer list before end of June for next term. And remember always to submit your membership dues. That's the key. Make the deadline. And of course, the fifth area is the meeting environment. So I will be sharing with you these 5 key points. Membership. Have any of our club in Thailand or anywhere find out the needs of the members? What are their needs of joining Toastmaster Club? What are their goals? What are their beliefs? And what are their culture? The needs of a member. When we recruit a new member, we should ask, what would you like to learn in Toastmasters? Is it leadership or is it communication skill? And what is your goal? What do you believe in? What is your culture, your style of doing things? And the key thing is club officers should always have that loving care. Mother Teresa inspired us. Let us spread love wherever we go, whether in a Toastmaster Club or non-Toastmaster Club. And love should always start from our home, from the mother. The mother is the one who gives us the love. We have it in a family. We have it in Toastmasters Club. And we should all let members experience Toastmasters care and love for the well-being of the member. Now, if you have this 5 factors, your club will always be president distinguished. You know their educational needs. If they have the pathway problem, you can help them. So let us move on to, next one. How do we measure the success of the membership? Whether members has progressed in their pathway or they drop out after a few years. Or when you call, they never want to return call. Or when they send you a message, and you reply, and it takes him a long time to reply you. Those are the factors we need to consider. We should always measure how clubs look after the membership. What about education? Well, we thank Toastmasters International of introducing the pathways. Pathway, in fact, is a competency skill grooming program to groom us from level 1 to level 2 to level 3, level 4, and level 5. We become an expert when we are in level 5. Now, if anyone got pathway problem, does the club appoint mentors? When a member achieves success, does the club celebrate with the members? And if the members got problem, what do? Do you allow them to ask? Do you allow them to ask the district director directly? So those are the areas we need to look into. One of the clubs that I shared to you in this slide was the SMAPLey Chapter 1 Advanced Toastmaster Club in Los Angeles. In every club meeting, they have photographs of all the speakers and put it in a chat group. Everybody feel excited to join the meeting. So when a member delivers a speech, key important thing is a speech without a specific purpose is like a journey without a destination. So every speech we deliver, it must have the objective. We must meet the objective of the various level of the pathways. Now, what is a quality speech? I was asked when I was many years ago. Currently, we call it Program Quality Director. Those days was Lieutenant Governor Education and Training. During the club officers training, they asked, John, what is a quality speech? I need to write my speech 10 months to deliver. What is a quality speech? A quality speech as defined in the club officers manual is, it is a speech that is well prepared, meeting the objective of that speech. And it is evaluated. That is a quality speech. I remember when I was Lieutenant Governor Education Training and the late Lilian Lau was the district governor, we late the day in District 51, we have close to 1,000 competent Toastmasters. No, competent Toastmasters. Those days were competent Toastmasters. So everybody delivered a speech, meeting the objective. It is well prepared and it is evaluated. So the speech, I took this from February 1952, Toastmaster magazine. Why? President-elect Murad said, John Huai, you may know I was born in February 1952. So what is a speech? Have a purpose, thoroughly prepared, well delivered, constructively evaluated. Then you will have a quality meeting. Quality meeting, we do not need to have money. We need the member to have the right mindset, prepare the speech with a purpose, well prepared, well delivered, and well evaluated. That is a quality meeting. So some of them asked me last week, I was doing an educational workshop in one of the districts in Malaysia. They asked me, John, I don't have money to organize quality meeting. That was the definition of quality meeting since 71 years ago. And it never changed. So remember this, quality meeting, you can hold it at the beach in Pattaya, or you can deliver a speech in Chiang Mai. You can deliver a speech in Pachong, wherever you are. Whenever you got members gathering there, if a member is prepared to deliver a speech with a clear purpose, prepared, delivered, and evaluated. Of course, you must have a group of members. If the club is on the move, the club can organize this anywhere in the world. We deliver speeches on top of a mountain when I was district governor, because that time, Khun Paisa will know, we have the worst bird flu in District 51. Our district nearly died. But the members were very smart. They deliver speeches in the park, by the beach, climbing the mountain. They deliver a speech. So we control the situation. So officers training, a lot of club officers which are experienced during my time, I'm sure during President Murad time, we went into the club officers training room. I will bring a notebook, 200 pages. I will have a pen. I will write down everything the trainer told us. Because my objective was to learn how to make sure the club is a better club. The members felt a difference with us serving them. And of course, before going into the room, we identify what is our gap, what we want to learn. That's the key. What do we want to learn? So club officers training, we should attend in full force. 7 of them, not only 4 of them. Of course, the minimum requirement is 4 club officers. Do not go into the club officers training room, sign the attendance list, and leave quietly half an hour later. That defeats the purpose of district organized club officers training. So what about the meeting environment? Look at this meeting environment. Wonderful, cheerful, compact meeting environment. When I was the Vice President, Education and Club President, I believe 24, 25 years ago, I will be the first one to arrive. Welcome every member to our club meeting. A member feel warm. And the surgeon at arms will be preparing the warm drink for them. They feel warm. If any guest came in, we will have someone assigned to talk to the new member. And at the end of the meeting, we will invite the new member to join. Because Toastmaster is for everyone. Everyone can learn our Toastmaster program. Even the prisoners in the prison can be a Toastmasters. Even president of a country can be a Toastmaster. A politician can be a Toastmaster. A businessman can be a Toastmaster. A pensioner can be a Toastmaster. If the meeting environment is good, fellow Toastmasters, your club will have a bright future. I am sure your club will produce the first international director in Thailand. Who knows, in some years to come, you may have an international president in Thailand. By the way, today I am speaking to you from Bali. Why? Because I'm attending the District 87 conference. So Toastmasters, so if you got a problem, what do? I know President-elect Murat will say, John, use the moments of truth. Moments of truth got 6 criteria. What is the first impression when you go into a club? Is the impression good? Do you conduct membership orientation? Do you lead the members to recite the membership promise? Are there any fellowship among the members? Are there open communication among the membership? How is the meeting program being organized? What is the membership strength? Are there any other recognition once the member have completed, let's say, one specific path? Are there any recognition? When a new member delivered the first speech, were there any standing ovation? So these are the moments of truth in summary. Okay? So 6 factors. Whenever we have a problem, we do an assessment using moments of truth. Now, how to measure if your club is a quality club? Toastmaster International has set the benchmark, the Distinguished Club Program. And if every year your club is continuously distinguished, yes, your club is a quality club. How to measure if your club is a quality club? How is the meeting program organized? How is the meeting environment? How is the member participating in a pathway? Are there any new members joining us? Are there many members staying with your club? Unless they are mobile because of their work. I want to share this. We need to spread love in your club. People need to spread love to a stranger. We all bleed the same blood, and we are all part of the global community. Paisan in Bangkok, he brought me in his Volvo car to the meeting. I feel honored because I never have been inside a Volvo car in my life that time. So I feel good. He said, John, sit at the back with me. Well, I feel very honored that such a big boss from Krung from Khun Thai, treated me. I feel warm. That is why I remember his name. So, fellow Toastmasters, I'd like to conclude with this. Let us share love with the member. Share your time and share your joys. The more you share love, that means you look. What do you mean by love? Love means kind, patient, taking care, reaching out to the people. What do you mean sharing time? When the members got a problem, reach out to them to help them, have time for the club meeting, have time to organize a good meeting program, have time to welcome guests, welcome members to the club meeting, have time to welcome members when members join you online, sharing joys. Whenever a member achieves success, please applaud them. Please send them a WhatsApp message, or please send them an email, or announce it to the whole club membership. Or maybe you can go for, in Bangkok, you can go for Pat Boom Phai Dang, or Khao Nheu Mu Binh, or Tom Yam Kung, or Tom Yam Pra. People feel good, people feel very happy. You know why? Robin Sharma said, love is the test of the boundary of a person. The more you share love, the more you share time, the more you share joys, the higher you can go in any leadership ladder. And there, if you're in business, business will attract you. And if you're in Toastmasters, responsibility will attract you to do more and more and more. Therefore, I wish you success in your club so that all the clubs in my beloved, beautiful, smiling Thailand will be distinguished at the end of the term. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Doris.
Datuk John Lau, terima kasih. Thank you for this.
Sama-sama.
Sama-sama. Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful speech. If you are enjoying the speeches so far, can I see 111 in the chat box? 111, yes.
Well, so many. Thank you.
Yeah. It's been so inspirational so far. Thank you. Before we move to the next speaker, we would like to recognize our clubs in Area 1 and Area 2 in Division 2. They are Bangkok Toastmasters Club, Fun for Friday Toastmasters Club, Hatia Songkhla Toastmasters Club, Thai Airways International Toastmasters Club, Suvarnabhumi Toastmasters Club, Genevieve Crawford Toastmasters Club, Rajawiti Hospital Toastmasters Club. Yeah, I'm here. Udon Thani Toastmasters Club. Thank you, everyone. Are you ready for the second gift of Toastmasters? If you are ready, I am ready. Our next speaker, distinguished Toastmaster Sandra Savage, will be giving us the second gift of Toastmasters Club. She is no stranger to the world of Toastmasters. With a wealth of experience in high technology, culinary arts, and an international keynote and motivational speaker, she has consistently brought fresh perspectives and innovative ideas to Toastmasters events. Today, she'll be sharing her insights on gourmet evaluations. Please join me to give a warm welcome to distinguished Toastmaster Sandra Savage.
Thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen with you. I've been a Toastmaster for 34 4 years. I was told to join by my boss because I had a Minnesota accent. But since then, I've gotten rid of that accent and I've gone on to quite a few speeches, not only inside of clubs, but also inside of conferences such as the one we're in today. And yet I did not find the evaluations, coming up a level as I was, if I use the cooking metaphor, becoming a better chef. I wanted a better evaluation. And so I have been working for the last year on evaluations and how to conduct them so that they are beneficial to the speaker and to the whole club. So we are going to talk about gourmet evaluations today. And our hostess is going to walk us through the 3 parts of our menu. We're going to talk about what the evaluator should be looking for in your message. Then we're going to look at the way the speech is delivered, your vocal variety, body language, gestures, and so forth. And then finally, how do you, as an evaluator, give helpful feedback to the speaker? I also have some assignments for you. I was never a school teacher, but I like to hand out assignments nonetheless to see if you're paying attention. And I also have a couple gifts for you as well. Now, I was an executive chef for 12 years, and I loved serving people. I love seeing the look on their face when they received the food from me and taking that first bite, not only with their eyes, but opening their mouth and getting that wonderful response. But so often I'd hear nothing from the guest. Well, what if you spent all your time putting together a fabulous message? You gave a great speech. You had a purpose, a reason. You asked for somebody to do something about what you're speaking. And you get, oh, that was a nice speech. That was a good speech. You had good vocal variety. As I get to be a better speaker, I want better evaluations. I want to continue to grow. I want to continue to hone my craft. And so knowing what we evaluate on is going to help the speakers get better and better. And that's going to make your meeting a whole lot more exciting too. I want to tell you about a little known trick though. And it starts before you open your mouth. It's the introduction that you provide to your speech. Think of it as 100 free words that someone else is going to say about you. They're going to say how wonderful you are and why you're giving this message now and what are your credentials. Before you even say a single word, their job is to set the stage for you. It's your responsibility, though, as the speaker, not the evaluator, but the speaker, to provide that introduction. Because, and I'm going to give you, by the way, a handout that I built on writing an introduction. That's one of the free things I have for you. Because the first 8 seconds you speak, your audience will determine whether they're going to listen to you or not. From that first 6 to 8 words, you need to connect with them right away. So you need to get them engaged, sitting forward, sitting up. They want to know what's in it for them. So are you going to waste it on, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to talk about blah, blah, blah. No, you're going to give part of that to your introducer to do, and you can thank your audience later. But get your audience's attention as soon as possible. And as I mentioned, your best friend or your worst friend can be that introduction that speaks before you do. When I first joined Toastmasters, I got a lot of really good secrets from other Toastmasters. And one of them said, if they don't like you, they won't listen to you. You need to make a connection with your audience as soon as possible. Now, we all don't have to be redheads to be alike. We share many, many things in common. We have memories, we have smells, we have adventures, we have photographs, movies we've seen together. But more importantly, talk to your audience, not at your audience. Invite them to be your friend with your voice by being authentic and being an open book. As an evaluator, you should be looking to see how soon the speaker makes a connection with the audience and what technique they use. And that's a hint I'm going to give you later for your assignment, is you're going to become a chronicler, chronicling your observations on how do people get your attention? How do they make a connection with you? Because as you hear the evaluator give the speaker that feedback, you can incorporate that into your next speech because you had someone else who tried it before you and it worked. Get people to feel. And, you know, if it isn't a common experience, a smell is really powerful, or a sound. Your five senses are great tools to use to evoke something that you both may have done at one time. Nostalgia, brand names. I had a guy the other day, this morning, he spoke about, and he had a picture of himself as a hippie with long hair, and he was standing in front of a Volkswagen VW Bug. And I was like, oh, I remember those good old days. So those type of things can really endear you to your audience. So as an evaluator, you're going to be looking at the people, not only at the speaker, but in your Zoom windows, you should be looking at everybody and seeing how they're reacting. Now, an effective speech. This is the next thing you need to evaluate. And by the way, if you want to turn these slides around, it can also be used. How do you write your speech? But let's look at what the evaluator is looking for. What makes an effective speech? Basically, it's knowing the speaker, what you want the audience to think, feel, or do. Write that down. What you want your audience to think, feel, or do as a result of your message. Otherwise, if you're not asking them to do anything, why are you talking? Just, you know, we use speech as our power to express our passion, to persuade people, to make a connection with them. Let them know what your intention is. Give them the information and make sure you call to action. And I'm going to talk about that right now. Get your audience to say yes. That's the whole point of your speech, is to get them to agree with you or be entertained. It can also be a social speech. But in general, your goal is to get them to listen to you, but it's also your responsibility to listen to your audience. And let me take a moment out, because this was the second secret I learned as a Toastmaster. I was up on stage with Steve Jobs and all the luminaries in Silicon Valley back in the 80s. And I was feeling really good about myself. And I got off the stage and I asked this gal behind me, and I said, how do you think I did? And she looked at me and she says, if you don't know, then you weren't listening. And I said, listening? I was doing all the talking. And she said, no, right? Pipette, he's smiling. They were talking the whole time. They were nodding their heads. They were smiling. They were agreeing with you. They were looking up, like to the future, or down to the past. They were engaged with your words. They weren't just scribbling notes to each other or trying to avoid eye contact. So it's very important when you want to persuade someone to watch them as you're speaking to make sure that they're following along. Also, give your audience an incentive to do what you want them to do. And that incentive could be as easy as, you know what, tonight when you sit down for dinner, talk about with your family, the importance of a summer vacation. Think about it. Where do you want to go? Or if you want to sit down with your teenager, good luck. But if you want to sit down with your teenager and say, well, sit down with your teenager tonight and talk to them about this subject that you had just covered. And make it something they do very soon after hearing your speech. Now, delivery. I don't know how many of you have been observing these speeches contests. And the delivery seems to be a little bit over the top. And I want to talk to you about delivering your speeches in a way that gets heard and not overshadowed by exaggerated gestures, which we saw so many of. There is a method to delivering your message, and that starts with your voice. That is the first thing that someone's going to hear, but it also is the first thing that can put them to sleep. If you just go on and on and on, especially if you're reading, your voice is so monotonous that no one will listen to you. Also, when you write out your speech, and I write out every speech, even after 34 years, I not only know how many words I have, but I use the punctuation marks as I'm typing it up as my pauses, as a longer pause, like in a paragraph return. A ... means my voice should just kind of go off. If I have a question mark at the end of a sentence, my voice should go up a little bit. If I have an exclamation point in my writing, that means say it emphatically. So use your punctuation marks as you're writing your speech to be your punctuation, because we all know how effective a good pause is. So today, one of the gals in the club I'm in was asked about her trip to the Serengeti. And she said it was just so, and she was looking for the word, but you know what it came out as? It was so overwhelming, she couldn't find a word. It was very effective in how she did that. And then your body language, which we'll talk about. We're also going to talk about gestures and props. Now, your voice. How many of you have listened to something read to you from the computer? The computer reads it, like in Microsoft Word, or did you know your projects in Pathways can be read to you from the PDF file? It's a nice way to get an overview. How's that voice on the computer doing it for you? Doesn't really give it a human touch at all. It's just like reading a teleprompter. According to experts, the reason we use vocal variety is for audience engagement. And remember, that's number one. If they're not listening to you, you don't have a reason to be speaking. You can emphasize the key points. See how I did that with a little bit of staccato in my voice? You can emphasize key points. Use a good pause. I love pause. One of my friends uses the pause and punch technique. Well, she'll say a pause and then she'll hit it, her next sentence hard, something, and it catches you, but you remember it. It'll also help you differentiate the importance of one part of your speech versus another. If this is really important, you're going to slow down. You're going to make sure you use your pauses, your punctuation. You're going to make sure that you use your voice to convey the importance of what you're saying. And it also conveys emotions, just like Kathy today, who was just totally at a loss for words. Even not saying a word can convey an emotion. And it makes you so much more memorable. I Have a Dream by Martin Luther King Jr. could have been given by anybody else, but it wouldn't have been as memorable. Your voice can make a big difference. And if you are trying to establish credibility with what you're saying, by sounding intelligent, people will believe you more. If you sound that you are empathetic, then people will see you as somebody who's kinder, gentler, and will treat your thoughts with care. I have already mentioned the punctuation, but it carries the weight of your words. It's important for emphasis, deep thoughts, time to process. By the way, we need time. When somebody says something so profound, we need time to, as if it's a good meal, we need to chew it and enjoy it. Don't rush it. Give us time, give your words time to be processed. And as I mentioned earlier, match it to your writing. Your writing is a great way to see how you just naturally would speak. Vernacular. This is my favorite one. The words you use. A lot of evaluators get really interested in rhetorical devices, using similes, metaphors, all different types of techniques that make listening just joyful, like a robin sitting outside your bedroom window in the morning. But use them judiciously, or they could be a whole herd of robins and they're going on forever and ever. Use them precisely when you want a keyword to be used, and use it with precision. Oftentimes, though, you may use a word someone won't know. What do? Make sure you use it in context so that they can think about it and come up with a general idea of what you mean. But if it is a word that they may not understand, you may want to give it extra time after you say that word for them to process it. Otherwise, they're going on and listen, and you're talking, but they're still back here trying to figure out what you said. Interpretation, you can imply so many things with a certain word. And you can also just, again, stress intelligence, empathy, caring, nurturing, passionate. All of your emotions can come through the words that you use, and it's fun. It's fun. And you can also do something interesting. Write this down. It's called freerice.com. And you can play a game every day. And for every correct answer, 10 grains of rice are donated to countries with starving children. So that's a really fun way to expand your vernacular. You can also sign up with things like Merriam-Webster.com, m-w.com, and they'll send you a word every day. I get a new word to learn that way, and it's fun. Just one word a day. It's fun. And use the words that you learn in your Toastmaster meetings outside of the Toastmaster meeting as soon as possible, because that way it will start to become part of your repertoire. Body language. You know, right now, the big controversy around giving speeches is, do you stand or sit now that we're in a Zoom world? My answer is, it depends. If you're telling something very personal or telling a story, and you sit down and you lean in, your audience will too. The more you go back, the more you put distance between you and your audience. So it all depends, in my opinion, on what your speech is about and how you want to connect with your audience. Now, if we were in a physical place, it's a lot easier. You stand. That's how we've done it. But also look at the room setup. Now, I had a situation in a meeting where the room was set up very proper. And I'm such a hippy-dippy kind of gal. I don't do anything the normal way. And it just didn't fit for my speech that I was going to give. And so when it came time for me to give my speech, I took my chair out from my place, and I went into the middle of this U-shaped conference room and sat my chair right in the middle of the room. And I sat down and told them the story that had them all in tears by almost the end of the speech. Would that have been as effective if I had stood behind a lectern? No. I got down and I told them a story to each and every one of them. They could see my facial expressions. They could see my gestures. They could hear the angst in my voice. So a lot of it depends on what kind of speech you're delivering and how the room is set up. Remember, you're also wanting to watch them when you're speaking. And evaluators do the same. Watch the audience. See how engaged they are. That'll tell you whether or not the message is being received or the messenger is doing a good job. And subtlety, which we did not see too much of in the contest. People were over gesturing. They were like, and I ran down to the store. And I'm like, no. Use your gestures judiciously. Use them when needed, and they can be very effective, as can your posture. If I lean in to tell you a story, it's a different posture than standing up straight, prim and proper. Or if I am defeated or I'm happy, you can use your posture to convey that. You do not have to over gesture. Don't over gesture so that it becomes noticeable. You want it to be subtle. And it also can be used a lot when you're contrasting things. And I'm sorry, I'm only one-handed right now because I broke my shoulder in 3 places a few weeks ago. So I'm trying to do the best I can with one hand. But when you're talking about height or weight or age differences, you can look up, you can look down, you can use your hands for distance. Try not to do anything symmetrical. For some reason, it's distracting. If you're asymmetrical, like I have one hand up, it's very effective. And I saw one gal, she had to sit back further from her camera, but she talked about something and she put her hand out and she did it just like that. So practice with your Zoom camera to see how you can effectively use hand gestures like, can I help you? Also, how secure you are with gestures. Some people, I'm sorry, this is referring to is like if you feeling defeated or you're feeling like a champion. But don't do gestures that you're not comfortable doing. It shows. And then also movement and time. If you're starting a story from when you're a kid, you might want to start your story over here. And then you go back to a little bit back, maybe talking about your grandparents, and then you come forward to today. So you can also use the placement of your feet or your chair to show movement or time or distances as well. And facial expressions. Of course, you want your face to match your face, or your face to match what you're saying. You want them to be in conjunction with each other. And then the eyes, as they say, the eyes are the something to the soul, the portal to the soul. They are. You can tell by someone's eyes a lot of different things. First thing you can tell is if they're reading. Unfortunately, when you read, I have tried many, many times to get away with reading all kinds of little tips and tricks and special windows. It never works because not only do your eyes react differently, but so does your voice when you read. Make sure that you feel comfortable making eye contact and people can see that. If you want to be emphatic to somebody and look right at them, especially if you're in a physical room together, that can make a big difference. But if you're not comfortable, it'll show too. So as an evaluator, be watching how the eyes are used because they are very full of expression. They also can tell if you're honest. People have a hard time lying unless you're really, really good. I was as a kid. I'm not as good a liar as I used to be. But you can tell. You can tell someone, they just don't look at you as much or as straight on. Use your eyes for emphasis, like, oh, I was excited, or, I fell asleep with that. And props. This is one of my favorite ones. Props can be so helpful in a speech, and they're so underutilized. You can see in the background here, I have my grandma's recipe, one of her secret recipes for apple cake. Props. If you hold up a card with love and attention, you can tell it's valuable to you. It can replace words. And when you only have 7 minutes or 650 words to give a speech, you can do a lot of things by just using a prop instead. I put a pencil behind my ear. That's a thing that we used to do back in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. It also kind of told you what kind of job you had. You were a menial worker. You weren't in an office. You probably worked with blueprints or architectural designs or an engineer, or you had to mark off lumber. So this can, do a lot of work. If I whittle it with a knife, like my grandma used to, that would even be a place and time. And props can also be used to accentuate change, differences, feelings, a bouquet of flowers that you could go and hand someone in the room, a lily, just something simple. And they can be so sentimental, like my grandma's recipe. So now, how do you evaluate to elevate? I mean, why do we even evaluate in the first place? Why don't we just give yourself a pat on the back and say, whoo, got that one done? Well, how many of you ever plan on getting up in front of other people outside of your Toastmasters Club and speaking? Or you want to ask your boss for a raise? Or you want to go into the bank and ask for a loan? Go into your city and ask your commissioners for a permit. Get up and give a speech at your daughter's wedding. There are going to be times that you need to give speeches outside of Toastmasters. Use your club to practice that exact speech on. Make sure that you feel calm, cool, and confident before your deodorant dies in front of someone that it matters. It's a safe place to practice, and it's a safe place to get feedback. And if you have guests in your meeting, what a blessing that is, because your guests don't know the Toastmasters way. They're just going to look at the speech that you gave with their eyes and ears and have a really brand new perspective that someone else may not have to how to evaluate a speech. You also can have your club members help you with making sure your message was heard and it was clear and it was concise. I gave this presentation a couple months ago at a new club that's for accredited speakers, and I got the harshest evaluation I have ever had in my life. And I loved it. I wish I had had that 30 years ago. Can you imagine how much more confident I would feel getting up to speak in public if I had gotten feedback that really was of value, rather than, oh, that was a good speech. You used your vocal variety. Maybe you should work on this. Let's get some honest feedback. The better you are, the more of a chef you are in crafting your message, you should expect the same out of your evaluator. That's how you're going to get better. And give your speeches a lot and get used to evaluating a lot. It's a wonderful skill to be able to evaluate others. You're going to learn how to evaluate yourself as you hone those skills. And you can come back and give a speech over and over again in the Toastmasters Club until you get it right and you're ready to go and ask for the raise. Your club is going to be as accommodating as you need it to be. If you have to give that speech 4 times, then no one's going to say no. You may not be able to get on the agenda as quick as you want, but nobody's going to say no. We want to help you. And we learn from each other. We learn from each other's speeches, and we learn from each other's evaluations. So, what kind of format do you use for evaluating? Well, your club has to decide, to be honest. And you can go with the standard evaluation resource, or you can use a contest style evaluation, or you could use a triad, which I learned when I moved to Idaho in the United States recently. They had 3 people evaluate each speech. One person closed their eyes and they just listened like they were listening to your speech on the radio. It's amazing what you can get from just listening. The second person kind of sort of closed their ears and just watched, which is also an effective thing to do by attending another club in another country in another language that you don't speak. See if you can discern from the speech what they're talking about, as long as you have someone also in that meeting who speaks both languages. And then the third person gives how they felt, how the message was attractive to them, how they became receptive to it. Did they get the mission? You know, what did the speaker want me to think, feel, or do? What's the overall feel after hearing that speech? And I love that. And I have to tell you, when you do this triad, you very quickly get rid of, thank you for giving that speech, Madam Toastmaster, and thank you, Toastmasters, members, and guests. You get out of that habit and get down to the meat, as I say in the kitchen, get down to the meat. I learned by watching one lady who is outstanding speaker. She does it for a living. And I was her evaluator, and I had just popped into the meeting, and she said, would you be my evaluator? And I go, okay, what method do you use? She says, use yours. I'm like, ooh, I don't have one. So I quickly wrote 3 columns, what I learned, what I'm going to steal from her, because it was so good, and what I'd suggest to her to improve the next time. By the way, use present or future tense when you give an evaluation. You can't go back in time and say, well, you should have done this, Doris. That sounds a little harsh, doesn't it? But instead, maybe the next time you might want to hold up an empty picture frame because you missed that friend that you normally would put a picture in every year. So what you would suggest, and I use that method quite a bit. You as a club need to define your own. One of the clubs that I belong to is, Joel, you're drawing on my screen. One of the clubs I belong to is Masters of Evaluation. And about 2-3 months ago, we did a special day where we had a speech-a-thon. But what we did is we divided it up into all different kinds of evaluations. I have a 6 or 7 page document. This is just the cover page that I'm also going to give to you. And it will explain to you the contest style, the standard evaluation, the see, heard, feel, and just the message in general. So you'll get the definition of what an evaluator would look like. We're trying them all out and trying to find out the ones that we want to use because we want to be really the place that people go to get their speeches evaluated. Now, let's talk a minute about the general evaluator as we bring this presentation to a close. The general evaluator, how many of you have heard, well, we started the meeting on time, and it's like, okay, that's fine. But what I'd like to do is have you look at the meeting as if you were a guest and give your general evaluator's report at the beginning as if you were a guest. I was, everybody was nicely greeted. We got to know a little bit about everyone. We stayed on schedule, which is important as a skill to learn in the workplace too. We practice it here. And we respect that everybody has prepared for this meeting with their speech, and no one's going to go over time so that everybody gets their chance. So you can make all of those roles and the definition and the recital of those optional, or you might want to choose to say, put all the timers report in the chat and not have it read out. However, if you have new members, it's great to get them in those roles just so that they get used to speaking just a little bit in each meeting. And it's not so strange and scary for them when they get up to give their icebreaker. The evaluators, what I've been doing lately is before they give their evaluations, at the beginning of the meeting, I sneak in one thing I want them to learn and try out. So today to my 2 evaluators, I said, I want you to listen specifically for what could have been trimmed. What extraneous information was in that speech that could have been used to emphasize their point or for a longer pause? Look at what can be cut, because sometimes we're so too close to our own speeches, to our own words, that we can't cut what doesn't really need to be in there. So I had them learn to do that in the evaluation, and they did a great job. And when you evaluate the evaluators, that's what you're doing. You're not evaluating the speech. You're telling the evaluators, you did a good job. If you do the triad with the see, hear, feel, you give each one of them feedback on how well they pointed out, blah, 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 at the skills as an evaluator. Don't repeat what the speaker said or what the evaluator said, but why it was helpful to everyone. And as I said, learn from each other. This is the best place in the world where you can go, get up and make a fool of yourself, pick yourself back up, do it again, get the perfection. No one's going to judge you. They're all there to help you. And now I have your assignment. I want you to become good evaluators. Now you can do that in today's conference. You can evaluate the other speakers. Or what I like to do is encourage people to watch the news. In fact, if I mentor anybody, they sign a contract with me that they watch the news 3 times a week because it's scripted, but live. So it's like your speech. You wrote out your speech, but you're giving it live. I want you to start keeping a log. Listen to what made your ears perk up and listen. Was it a good pause? Was it a good word, a word that just really tickled your ears? Was it voice inflection? What was it that picked up your ears? And then also look at what enhanced or distracted you from the message. If they're going to be talking about budgets or this or that, it may be a boring topic, but they got you interested by something they did or said. But what also distracted you? For me, the one distraction I think you already know is when people are over emphatic with their gestures. That is very hard for me to get past the performance and back to the speech and to the message. Also, kind of, this isn't as important, but note how long it took you before they got to the point, because our attention span is getting smaller by the day. We scroll through Facebook like nobody's business. There's certain things that'll pick your eye on as you're scrolling. The same thing goes for your ears when you're watching the news. And if it's profound, write it down. If they say something like the acronym HOPE that was given at the very beginning, I wish I had written that down, but I broke my right arm and I can't write. So if someone knows what that acronym is, please put it in the chat, because I thought that was quite profound. Write it down, learn from each other, and use it, because where you're going to use it is in the workplace, not just in your Toastmasters club. So if you repeat what somebody else said, that's a compliment in your Toastmasters club. It'll be unique when you use it in the real world. As they say, evaluations are the heart of a meeting, but only if you give the time to give your attention, your heart, your thoughts, your sincerity. Because you care about each other, you want to anticipate your evaluations. You don't want to dread them. You want to know that you're going to learn something by listening and staying tuned in. So many people don't. They start planning the rest of their day when it gets to the third section of the meeting, and they don't listen to the evaluations. Why? Because they're not learning from them. We should care enough about each other's success to make sure that we're learning from evaluations. You want to improve. Everybody is here to improve. Your club is your sounding board where everyone benefits and grows. And with that, I want to thank you to learn how you in your club can evaluate to elevate. And later I will put in the chat my 2 free gifts to you. One is how to write an introduction, and the other is the framework for our evaluations at Masters of Evaluation. Thank you very much. And back to you, Doris.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Sandra. And I hope you get well very soon. take care of your shoulder, please. I got great insights from your speech on another perspective on how to give effective evaluation and deliver effective speeches too. Thank you so much, and I hope every member here today learned something different from what we have been doing. So let's apply it in our various clubs. Thank you. Now is the time for virtual lunch party. Are you ready? Are you ready for the party?
Yes.
Ready? Can I see? I'm ready in the chat box. Yes, ready. So before we commence the party, we would like to recognize some clubs in area 3 and 4 in the Division B. There are clubs in the northern part of Thailand. Chiang Mai Toastmasters Club, are you here? Chiang Rai Toastmasters Club, Lampung Toastmasters Club, NU Toastmasters Club, Saturday Toastmasters Club, and KBTG Toastmasters Club. So before we start the break, I would like to give you some information on how we are going to do it. We are going to break for lunch. You all are welcome to share your lunch at the virtual lunch party, or you may decide to go out to have lunch or remain in the main Zoom room. So during the party, we are going to have fun sessions of table topics and Toastmasters trivia. And this session will be co-anchored by our distinguished Toastmaster Nuch and myself. So I'd like to give some minutes for us to get settled before we start. Zoom master. Okay. DTM Nuch?
Yeah, just like to say, so please feel free.
Yeah, what time are we going to be back for the next after the lunch?
After lunch, let me see. In the agenda, let me see.
Okay, we're going to be back by 12:30, right? So we are going to be back and commence with the next sessions. But before now, we are ready for the virtual lunch party. DTM Nuch, what are we expecting?
Okay, so are you ready? You have your lunch and your drink ready, and enjoy the activities during this lunch break to keep you entertained. Doris and I will start with the table topics. So Doris, take it over.
Okay. So please, everyone, after the lunch, we are joining the same Zoom to continue with the second session of today's event.